Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB. Let's get into it.
Do you want to learn about common sexuality topics, including STIs, jealousy, pleasure, non-monogamy, sex work, how to be a better client? Hi, I'm Elle Stanger. I'm a certified sex educator, and I'm an adult entertainer and porn maker, and I host weekly episodes to talk about some really common and some very unknown things about sex and sexuality. Find They Talk Sex podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or theytalksex.com.
What if I told you that I did a masturbation experiment with the magic wand and the results were incredible? Don't believe me? Let me share a few things with the class. When using the magic wand every day, I experienced less stress, anxiety, and physical tension. I reported more frequent positive moods when using the magic wand every day, including higher levels of confidence. My level of horniness increased over time when using the magic wand every day. Want to see how else the magic wand impacted me positively? Go to sexedwithdb.com/magicwandexperiment to learn more.
Calling all couples who are feeling like your relationship, especially the sexual connection, has lost its spark is just so-so, or maybe you're feeling stuck or in a rut. Wah, wah, wah. Well, first off, you are completely normal and not alone. This is super common in long-term relationships. Second, there's hope. Maybe you've thought about seeking out support from a coach or therapist, but for whatever reason, aren't feeling ready to take that leap. Never fear, Shameless Sex is here. The book, I mean. While our latest book, Shameless Sex, Choose Your Own Pleasure Path to Unlock the Sex Life You've Been Waiting For, is for everyone, it's specifically geared towards couples who are looking to go from so-so to great in the bedroom and beyond. Written in a playful and fun choose-your-own-adventure style, we give you a simple framework with customized solutions to give you the right tools for the sex and relationships you desire, meaning you just might find your way to sexy pleasure and connection town without the time and cost of hiring a therapist for under $30. Plus, buying the book supports us and shows us you love us, so that's a bonus too. Testimonials are coming in left and right as to how this book helped people just like you create or recreate the sex life of their dreams. And you can too. Grab your hardcover copy or audio version now at shamelesssex.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a fun solo episode of just me. Hope you're into it. Of 10 lessons from 10 seasons of Sex Ed with DB. I come to you humbly for the last episode of season 10, and I can hardly believe it. I'm speechless. It's so exciting, so overwhelming, so wonderful, so beautiful, all the things. It's just so spectacular to be able to do what I love year after year. And yeah, it's been 7 years that I have been doing Sex Ed with DB. We released our first episode like mid-September 7 years ago. So here we are. And yeah, I'm just so proud of the work that me and my team do and our mission and the people that we learn from every episode and the people we collaborate with on social media and beyond. And it's just really special. It's really special to get to do what you love, what you're passionate about. And so I thought it would be really fun to do this 10 lessons of, just like everything that I've been thinking of, that I've learned over these last 7 years. Some of these things are about sex ed. Some of them are just about me. Some of them are about like running my own business. And I thought that, how fitting that I can share this with you. You have been there for me and this podcast for 7 years, and you've been tuning in. And some of you have been tuning in since the beginning. Some of you have been tuning in more recently, but I really want you to know how much I appreciate you. And yeah, I want to get to know you better. Like if you're listening to this right now and you feel like you know me because I've shared a lot of my life over these last 7 years with you, I don't really know you as well as I want to. And so if you're hearing this, I'd love for you to email me at sexedwithdb@gmail.com and just say hi. Just say like who you are. Just tell me like, a little bit about you. I'd love to get to know you and just know what episodes you really like, what content you're into. If you have questions, like what about this podcast excites you? I just want to know whatever you want to tell me. So I'd love to get to know you better. And yeah, with that, we'll kind of dive in and I'll share lesson 1 out of 10 for 10 lessons for 10 seasons of Sex Ed with DB. Here we go. Lesson 1. There is still so much work to do in sex ed in the US. I have some classic Guttmacher stats for you. So thanks to our pals at Guttmacher for keeping this information current. But we're still at a point where only 18 states require program content in sex ed to be medically accurate. Only 21 states and Washington, D.C. require that information on contraception be provided. 29 states require that abstinence is stressed in sex ed. And 19 states require instruction on the importance of engaging in sexual activity only within a marriage to be provided. Deep breath. So, yeah, given that, I think it's just important to recognize that we have come very far in sex ed in many ways. And, consent is kind of a conversation that's more at the forefront. We're talking more about body image and unrealistic expectations of, what bodies look like in the media. We're being critical of, rom-coms and things that don't really serve us if they have unhealthy messages about relationships or, idealized relationships. And at the same time, we are, still missing a lot. And I think, come November for this presidential election, there is a lot at stake here in the US. And essentially, I just refuse to go backwards. So I hope that this podcast kind of serves as a way of fighting against misogyny and sexism and misinformation and lack of education, to just continue to fight for policies that serve us and young people, that champion queer youth and queer people and, gender affirming care, that really allow for abortion access to be available to everyone, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to start with that there is more work to do. Moving on to lesson 2. This is a personal one, but just doing Sex Ed with DB has just been the absolute highlight of my career, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I don't know if you all know about some of the other jobs that I've had, but I'd love to share them with you. My first job out of college was working as a program coordinator for an after-school program called Real Options for City Kids in San Francisco in Visitation Valley. And yeah, I was a program coordinator there for almost 2 years. It was a really great first job. I learned a lot. I felt like I got to really understand my passion for working with young people there and, creating curriculum. And I led a girls group, which was kind of like the beginning of me being really passionate about sexual health and education in like a more formal way. And then, I worked for a really great company called O School, doing some content and education work for them. And then I went to grad school to get my MPH at Columbia. And while I was, there, I continue. Well, I guess I started the podcast while I was working at O School, or a little bit before that, I guess. Kind of like in between those two jobs at Real Options for City Kids and O School. And yeah, just kind of was like doing the podcast part-time and, made my way through grad school, and then the pandemic hit. I worked for a couple of other different sex tech startups that like just didn't really click for me. Like there always seemed to be something missing, and I always kind of felt like super anxious at those jobs, like I wasn't doing a good enough job, or that my skills weren't really like being utilized as much as I wanted. And so like I guess like I'm just so grateful that I've been able to do sex ed with DB as, the longest job I've ever had. Wow. I've never really said that out loud, but that is crazy. Like I never anticipated this. I don't think I could have even imagined it. And yeah, I'm just so happy and proud that this has been my career, and that I've been able to do this for as long as I have. It's been 7 years in total, and the last 3 of 7 years have been full time. And so, yeah, I'm just fucking stoked on that, and I'm just so happy about that. Lesson 3: the number one question that people want to know is, am I pregnant? Some version of am I pregnant just always ends up at the forefront of our DMs. Everyone's like, oh, I'm not sure. Like I touched my thing, and, I'm not sure if I got anything on her. And it's just like, oh, okay. Like, let me get you a video. Let me help you. And it just is so clear that people are really nervous and scared and need education about the way in which we get pregnant. The fact that a stranger on the internet cannot tell you right away if you're pregnant, the fact that it takes like multiple weeks to even have a positive pregnancy test come up. Like we just get so many versions of this. And yeah, I have lots of resources on TikTok and Instagram if you want to go check them out. If you're wanting to save it, save the video. I recently did a TikTok collaboration with a really great website called Asking for a Friend. A project of Y Labs, and they have a really comprehensive quiz to like figure out, am I pregnant? And so, yeah, just know that if you have ever wondered this, or if you've ever Googled this or messaged a sex educator this question, you are not alone. And at the same time, know that a sex educator is not able to give you a definitive answer. The best thing you can do is educate yourself and, get a pregnancy test when it's time, like after you've missed your period, or after it's been at least 2 to 3 weeks since the accident. And if you are someone who just had the accident and you just had unprotected sex, know that Plan B, or, a prescription emergency contraception called Ella, are 2 options. Another option is the IUD for the most effective form of emergency contraception. And yeah, it's just a really important topic that we inevitably just get dozens and dozens of questions on. So yeah, just know that that's a common thing that people want to know. Lesson 4: there is absolutely nothing wrong with failing. In fact, failing is necessary. I just used to be so caught up in the idea of failing and what it would mean to me if I failed, what it would mean for my self-worth and who I was as a person if I failed. Just like that I would feel really shitty about myself, and like I didn't do something right, and I wasn't worthy, or kind of like would get abandoned, or kind of had all of these like really unhealthy, this unhealthy relationship with failing. But failing often and failing fast has been really great for Sex Ed with DB and for my business and for my creativity. And risks are super important, and they allow us to just feel like we can, figure out what we need to do without feeling like things are so precious, like, and without taking things so personally. And so I think that if you're someone who's listening who feels the same way that I did, in that, a failure is tied up in your self-worth, try to divorce those two things and just say, fuck it. And just like try different things. Don't be afraid, take risks, and just like really try not to care what other people think about you. You're like the only person who you should care about in terms of what you think. And you should surround yourself with people who will kind of allow you to fail and allow you to experiment and support you through that. So yeah, nothing wrong with failing. Failing's necessary. Lesson 5, you listener, you all love hearing about content on orgasms, masturbation, blowjobs, and pleasure and relationships, but mostly those other things. You dirty dogs. No, I'm just kidding. I love talking about them and I hope you love hearing about them. Our most popular episodes are about these topics, and it's so fun to see what people like to engage with and what they like to listen to. We have 220 episodes, and that's a shit ton of content. And we're just able to see like who is listening the most to certain pieces of content. And so I just think it's really fun and interesting that orgasms, masturbation, sex stories, blowjobs, pleasure, how to maintain healthy relationships, like kink, these are the topics that people like to hear a lot about. And also like queer journey stories, I feel like people are really interested in. Like we've had on a couple of folks who have talked about their relationship to queerness and how they found out they're queer, how they came out, like what it's been like for them in their queerness, in their life. And yeah, it's just so awesome to see what people are interested in. And yeah, just don't worry. We'll definitely be making more episodes with these topics in mind. If you have a topic that you're interested in hearing about, email us at sexedwithdb@gmail.com. And I'm the one that reads these emails. So I would love to hear if there's a topic we haven't done, if you're interested in that. And now we're going to take a little break before lessons 6 through 10. In a world that constantly encourages you to change, it's bold to just be yourself. Sexual expression and satisfaction are different for everybody, so rather than conforming to others, focus on falling in love with who you are. Lion's Den sources the very best products to help you find what you like and help you feel confident expressing your sexual desires. You can get 15% off in-store and online using code SEXEDWITHDB at lionsden.com to begin exploring everything about yourself. Follow them on social at Lions Den Adult on Instagram and TikTok. Let's talk about lube and condoms. Something important to know is that oil-based lube is not to be used with condoms because the oil can cause the condom to break or tear, which would defeat the purpose of using it. Thank goodness for Uberlube. Uberlube is latex compatible, so it's safe and effective to use with condoms. But wait, there's more. Dispensing 2 drops of Uberlube inside a condom and a measured pump outside will increase pleasure. What are you waiting for? Use code SEXEDWITHDB for 15% off at uberlube.com. Welcome back. Something that I didn't really write in here, but that I am incredibly grateful for are our sponsors. I'm sure as a listener, you're kind of like, yeah, who cares? But in all seriousness, I wouldn't be able to do this without these sponsors. So, yeah, I love you, sponsors. Thank you for what you do. Moving on. Lesson 6. I have the best team ever, in all caps, that allows me to really thrive and continuously take Sex Ed with DB to the next level. I just, a million thank yous to everyone who has worked at Sex Ed with DB in the past and who currently works on the show. I think like the main lesson that I have in here that I share with people is that if you are not good at something and B, don't like to do it, then find someone who is good at it and likes to do it. And I think that is kind of the epitome of, what we've been able to do at Sex Ed with DB. We just have like stellar people who are really, really great at what they do. Our producer, Sadie, our communications lead, Kathy, our marketing coordinator, Mitch, and our amazing social media coordinator, M, are the folks who work on our team this season. And it's just been so delightful to work with people who like get your mission and who really care about comprehensive sex ed for all and who work really hard to make this show everything that it is. So if you are ever feeling like you should be doing something all on your own, or you think that people like me, just because my name is in the title of the show and just because I'm the one that hosts it, that I do everything, false. That is not true. I get so much satisfaction out of working with stellar people on my team. And yeah, it's just like a huge lesson that I can't do this alone and I don't want to do this alone. And it is very special that I get to do this work alongside so many incredibly talented people. All right. Enough with the sentimentality. Just kidding. That's pretty much everything that I have here. I'm emotional. Leave me alone. Okay. Lesson 7. It can take years and years to build something that you're really proud of, but you can always find excitement and happiness in the little things. So, as I have said, I've been doing this work for 7 years, and you kind of don't realize what it is until it's been years later and you kind of like have a whole bunch of stuff to show for it, right? Like we have a bunch of episodes, we have amazing following on socials, we have all these graphics and series that we've done in the past. We have these great sponsors, like all of this kind of like these little things that you can kind of imagine putting in a picnic basket that you're kind of like carrying with you throughout your life, that you're collecting, I guess. And even though those things have taken years and years for me to build to this thing that I've been doing, when people continuously, like weekly, are writing reviews of the podcast saying how much an episode has impacted them, it's incredible. It makes me feel so happy and fulfilled and kind of gives me the fuel to continue doing this work. And here's a little reminder, cutie. If you haven't written a review for this show and you have been listening consistently, even if this is, your second or third episode that you've listened to and you really like it, please write a review. They really, really are important and they mean the world to us, but they also make a tangible difference. Like actually having people review your show means that you can share that with sponsors and with people who want to come on the show. And, it just makes the quality of the show that much better. And so I'll give you a hot sec to pause this episode and just write like one review on whatever platform that you're listening, because, it makes a huge difference. And I would really appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. Okay, now you're back from your pause. No, seriously, pause and do it. Okay, I can't force you. Okay, another like piece of this is like the little things, right? Like being on someone else's podcast for me and talking about a topic that I'm really excited about is amazing. Like I get to, educate people and do this work, like teaching in the classroom when I do that occasionally and seeing a light bulb go off for students when I'm talking about consent or queer identities or boundaries or healthy relationships. Like it is so special to get to see in real time people learn and their lives are changing by like the way in which that sex educators like me are able to get through to people. So yeah, always try to find the excitement in little things. Even if you're ever feeling like, oh, like there's a slog, or, this is a lot more challenging than I thought. Yeah, like there's always something that you can hold on to, and always something that can make you feel happy and excited and compelled to continue doing the work. Lesson 8. This is kind of a silly one, but it's true. After 220 episodes and 7 years of doing this work, I will always get nervous before a recording. And that's just a part of my process. Like there's always a part of me that looks at the recording that I have on my Google Calendar and is like, oh, I don't want to do that. and it's not because I don't love it. It's just like nerves and like excitement. And, I'm recording myself and like, am I going to fuck up? Am I going to sound stupid? Am I going to feel insecure? Like doing this work can be really vulnerable and scary and overwhelming, but inevitably it is incredibly rewarding. And I feel really lucky to get to talk to experts in this field. And, my mom has come on every single season. That has been so special. And educate people while also getting further educated myself by learning about, specific topics in the field that I don't know much about or that I'm not an expert in. And so, yeah, it's okay for that to be a part of my process. And if that's a part of your process too, yeah, you're not alone. It's understandable when we're in this age of like social media and just like constantly putting our faces in our cameras and taking pictures. And like, you think that would get yourself used to it. But by now, 7 years later, I'm still telling you, it's still hard. It's still nerve-wracking, but we still do it because it ends up going great. And yeah, that's awesome. Lesson 9, teaching sex ed is surprisingly just as fun for me as teaching other sex educators and professionals how to do this work full time. I really, really did not expect this. I have a Master of Public Health, as I've mentioned a million times, but no business training of any sort of formal training. But after, 4 years of doing this work part-time and then the last 3 years doing it full-time, I do kind of feel like I've cracked the code to figure out how to do this work full-time and make 6 figures while doing it. And yeah, it just feels really fun for me to do this workshop that I've been doing and kind of get to connect with sexual health professionals or people who are wanting to use social media to kind of like, make their living or, teach in the classroom or do some sort of coaching or, create graphics, like whatever they're interested in doing. It's really special to be able to like mentor people and talk to them and talk about the field and see what kind of certifications there are in the world of sexual health and how, there are so many paths to doing this work. And yeah, if you're listening to this episode and you're wanting an excuse to like kick it into high gear and make your side hustle your full-time thing, or even if you want to make more money doing your side hustle, just email me at sexedwithdb@gmail.com. Tell me that you heard this episode. We can have a free like 15-minute phone call to see if the workshop is for you. I would love to chat with you and meet you. So yeah, just let me know because it is really fun for me. And I really, really believe in the material that I've created for building a profitable online sexual health brand. And the final lesson, why don't you take a guess? What do you think the final lesson is going to be about? Did you think about it? I hope you did. I don't think you saw this coming. Lesson 10, you can never use too much lube. I don't know if that is something that you could have predicted, but here we are. I don't know about you, but I was never taught as a young person just anything about engaging in sexual encounters with lube. And it should just be a given, honestly. Like when young people are having sex for the first time or, getting fingered for the first time or, using a toy for the first time, there's kind of no conversation around, yeah, and then you also always should have lube. Like, but we should be talking to people about this, young and old and everyone in between, because lube makes sex so much more pleasurable. And the more you use, the more pleasure that you get. And pain should not be a part of your reality while you're having sex with yourself or with a partner. So the 10th and final lesson is don't be afraid to use a lot of lube. And yeah, it really has made sex for me so much better. And I think like without it, it doesn't feel as pleasurable. It's not as fun. And yeah, just highly recommend, if you've never tried lube, just give it a try and see what kind you like. We have reached the end, my friends, of 10 lessons for 10 seasons of Sex Ed with DB. Thank you so much for listening to me kind of babble on the last 30 minutes. It feels so fun and special that I get to use my expertise and my, silliness and goofiness to talk to you and just like give you some tips and share a little bit more about my life with you. We are coming back for more. So don't worry. We'll have some more episodes in your feeds in the coming months, kind of in between seasons. We have a great more sex ed episode coming out next week that is specifically around someone who cannot reach orgasm and what do we do, about that? What do people who can't reach orgasm do about that? So stay tuned for that episode coming to your feeds next week. And again, I love you. I'm so appreciative of you. I'm so happy to be doing this work. And thank you so, so much for tuning in. Love you. Bye. Our creator, host, and executive producer is me, Danielle Bezalel. Our communications lead is Catherine Cohen. Our producer is Sadie Leegee. Our marketing coordinator is Mitch Coburn. Our social media coordinator is M. Kirsty Frazier. Our music theme is by Hook Sounds. Thanks so much to our featured guests, partners, and listeners. Want to partner with us? Email us at sexedwithdb@gmail.com. Do you have a silly sex story to share, need some advice, or have thoughts on the episode you just heard? Give us a booty call for a chance to be featured on the podcast. Check the show notes for the details. For more sex ed content, follow us on IG at sexedwithdb podcast and on TikTok at sexedwithdb. Want to know your sex toy zodiac sign? Go to our link tree on our IG now. See you next time.